You ever look at the way governments spend our money and just get that sinking feeling, you know? That sense that the whole system is murky, wasteful, and just broken? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dig into whether technology could be the answer. Can it finally give us the honest, transparent government we've been asking for? We've got some pretty incredible real-world examples to look at.
I mean, this quote just hits the nail on the head, right? It's a feeling so many of us can relate to. And this isn't just about spreadsheets and budgets. It's about that growing gap, that trust gap, between us and the people who are supposed to be working for us. The author we're looking at today says, maybe we've all just kind of accepted this is how things are. But what if? What if it doesn't have to be?
Okay, so first things first, let's really frame the problem here. We're talking about a transparency problem, which is really a crisis of trust.
And to see this in the wild, you don't have to look much further than the UK's PPE VIP lane scandal during the pandemic. Man, this was a huge story, and for good reason. It was like a perfect storm that showed just how murky government spending can get when things get chaotic.
And the numbers here, they're just staggering. We're talking £10.5 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That's how much in contracts was handed out without any competitive bidding, all through this VIP lane. Basically, if you had the right connections, you could just bypass all the normal checks and balances.
And look, this isn't just hearsay or some conspiracy theory. This comes from the government's own watchdog. What they found was a system where accountability had pretty much vanished. I mean, when you have multi-million-pound deals getting the green light over WhatsApp, that's a massive red flag. It just screams that the whole process is completely broken, and it really sets the stage for why we need something better.
But okay, enough about the problem, because this isn't all doom and gloom. Let's shift gears and look at some actual solutions. 3 blueprints for honesty that are already out there, in the real world, and they're actually working.
So first up, let's take a look at Brazil. Now, the old way of doing things there was, well, pretty typical. Government spending was buried in these reports that came out months late, and they were a nightmare to try and understand. So what did they do? They went for radical transparency. They built a public website, a live, searchable database where literally any citizen could log on and see every single invoice from a government credit card. And the result? It was incredible and immediate. Just by putting that information out in the open, Brazil slashed unnecessary spending by a whopping 25%. That one simple change saved them about £2 million a year, every year. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Turns out, when you know everyone's watching, you tend to spend a little more carefully. All right, next up, there's a really interesting pilot program from the UK that uses smart contracts. Now, the idea here is simple but brilliant. Instead of one person holding all the power to approve a big payment, the system spreads that power out, so a payment only gets released from what's called a project bank account after 3 different people, the client, the site engineer, and the main contractor, all give it the thumbs up. It's such a smart way to get rid of that single point of failure and just bake accountability right into the system. Okay, now for Estonia. And their story is really something else. This is a country that literally took a national disaster and used it to build a world-class system for digital government. See, back in 2007, they got hit with this huge cyber attack that brought everything to a standstill, and that moment became the spark. They decided to rebuild with a philosophy of trust by design. And does it work? Oh yeah, in 2016, someone tried to fraudulently change the land registry, and the system caught it and fixed it in 8 minutes. Just incredible.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth do they do that? Well, the secret sauce is this technology called Keyless Signature Infrastructure, or KSI. The easiest way to think about it is like an unbreakable digital logbook for, well, everything. Anytime a government record is changed, even by a single comma, that change is permanently locked in with a timestamp. It's like setting it in digital concrete. You literally cannot go back and secretly change something without everyone knowing.
And if the tech itself isn't impressive enough, just wait till you hear the numbers. The cost to set it up and run it is, it's not nothing, but it's pretty small in the grand scheme of things. But the savings? Estonia saves an estimated 800 million euros every single year just from being more efficient. I mean, come on, that's a return on investment you just can't argue with.
But this goes way beyond just saving money. A system you can't tamper with has real human consequences. And to see the tragic cost of not having a system like this, we just have to look at the UK's Windrush scandal. It's heartbreaking.
Thousands of physical documents, landing cards that proved people had the legal right to be in the country, they were just destroyed. And because those records were gone, people were wrongly deported, they lost their jobs, their homes, their entire lives in the UK were ripped away. Just imagine if a system like Estonia's had been in place, where deleting a record without leaving a permanent, obvious trail is impossible. It could have been a lifeline.
So when you pull all these different examples together, what do you get? Well, you start to see a clear framework for building an honest government, and it's really built on 3 core pillars of trust.
The building blocks are actually pretty simple, but they're incredibly powerful. So, number 1, immutability. That just means nothing can be changed in secret. Every edit leaves a permanent footprint. Number 2, co-signatories. No one person gets to be king. Power is spread out, and every decision is logged. And finally, number 3, tamper detection. Think of it like a digital smoke alarm for the whole system. It goes off the instant something fishy happens, not months down the road when it's too late.
And all of this brings us to the author's final and maybe most important question. We have the technology, we have the examples, so what's next? The argument being made here is that we need to stop thinking of this as a cost. It's an investment. The real prize isn't just about catching a few bad apples or cutting fraud. It's about unlocking all that money that's just leaking out of the system right now. Imagine redirecting all those wasted billions into things we actually need: better social care, more funding for police, cleaner cities, roads that don't have potholes.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. When you look at what the current system is costing us, not just in wasted billions, but in the complete erosion of public trust, the whole conversation changes, doesn't it? The tech is here, the blueprints exist, so maybe the real question isn't, can we afford to do this? It's, how much longer can we possibly afford not to?